We're gonna fight for Iowa. Let every loyal Iowan
Yep. Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18, which is public access TV here in Iowa City. My name's Dirk Keller. Got Pat White back for a return engagement. Bud Supple's back after a long assignment in Florida. As always, Earl Murphy is here. It's his show, after all. And we've got a very special guest and longtime friend of Sports Opinion, Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com. That is a Rivals.com website that has any and everything that's Hawkeyes. If you want to know about it, you go there. And Tom is at everything that's Hawkeye related. You weren't at the baseball game last night, were you?
No, I was not.
Yeah.
No, but 18 innings. It's a long game.
Hawkeyes beat Sacramento State in 18 innings in a walk-off sacrifice fly last night.
Yeah, the mine's worth.
They're really something. They're
Big series this weekend. They travel to Michigan, and Iowa's a half game out of first place because Illinois screwed up and didn't play a ball game against Indiana.
a team that could have beaten them, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, Illinois is really good.
They are exceptionally good.
It's just great that the Iowa baseball team has some relevance right now.
Well, the Hawkeyes
They
are.
didn't play them.
Rain
They had a
out.
rain out. They had a rain out. They could have, and the rain was forecast, and they could have scheduled a doubleheader on Saturday.
Like Iowa
They
did.
didn't do
And
it.
they
Didn't do
did. So they have a half-game lead over Iowa. Iowa has a 13-2 record in the Big Ten. They have won 6 straight Big Ten series dating back to last year, which is a record for the Hawkeyes. Their overall record is 31-11, and as Tom mentioned, they are headed to Michigan this weekend. And this weekend, I think, presents their best opportunity to make some ground on Illinois, who has to travel to Ohio State.
Yeah, and Ohio State has got 3 losses in
Yeah.
big play, so it's a big series.
Yeah, they're third ranked in the Big Ten, and Michigan is in 5th place in the Big Ten. Michigan's record is 27-17, and they have an 11-7.
They're pretty good, from
Yeah.
what I understand.
Yeah, they ought to be. The Hawkeyes come off a big sweep last weekend of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who were ranked number 25 at the time, and swept them. And let me tell you, that's a rivalry between these two schools and the two coaches. And
Iowa's up to, I think, 16 in one poll. I saw the
15-1.
15, and then I know the USA Today college baseball poll
16.
is 19.
I'll take it.
So pretty remarkable what Rick Heller has done in a very short period of time. And if you get a chance, if you want to see a guy who's going to be pitching in professional baseball, I think they play Minnesota next Saturday.
Yes.
Next Saturday, their number 2 guy is Blake Hickman, and he's going to be pitching professionally. I don't know if he'll ever make
By
it
next
major.
year, do you think?
Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
he's gonna come out after this year, and
Now, do the Cubs still hold the rights to him?
no,
Okay.
because he did not sign.
Once
so
you're drafted, if you don't sign, you're back in the pool.
back in the pool, but they
Chicago
expect him-
native.
Yeah, they expect he came to Iowa as a catcher. Jack Dahm recruited him as a catcher, and Heller got here and said, "Boy, you can throw pretty well. Do you want to give it a shot?" And he was really raw last year, but still threw 94, 95, and just blew people away. And now he's got more pitches. Went to the Cape Cod League over the summer last
read
year.
that.
Tom, you mentioned Jack Dahm. One of the interesting things about this baseball success this year, Rick Heller deserves enormous credit, but
Jack
they're all
recruited a lot.
Jack's players, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Almost exclusively
Yeah.
Jack Dahm's
And
players.
how's he doing in Mount Mercy?
That I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
That I don't know. But yeah, it's,
Jack's a good guy, and
Yeah, great
he
guy.
stayed in the area. I think he still lives here in Iowa City.
He does.
I ran into him, I think, at Christmas time.
Well, he's over at one of the ball games.
Was he? Good.
I think it was a Cornell game.
Well, regardless, Rick Heller has just done wonders wherever he's been.
Yeah.
Where was he before UNI?
He was at Indiana. He was at Upper Iowa.
Upper Iowa.
And then UNI, and then Indiana State.
Yep. And he put each of those programs on the map while he was there. I don't think he ever lost to Iowa when he was at Northern Iowa.
Well, you know what really counts? The 28,000 or the 2,800 fans that were there last weekend.
It was something to behold. It really was. And
Hasn't had that
you
much.
know, it has a big impact on the kids playing the game. I forget who was interviewed this week, but he said, you know, last year we got 100 people. You know, we were satisfied. This year it's 2,000 plus.
Yeah.
And you've only got a few more cracks at home games.
There's the
I think
Minnesota.
next weekend is it, isn't it?
I think they
There's
might
a-
have a midweek game.
Yeah, they've got a rematch with Western Illinois, who
and
beat
then-
them earlier.
And then they've got Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who'll be good.
Sacramento State, who was here last night, are they traveling by bus across
Yes.
the country?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, we had Rick on our podcast, and I said, "How did you get this game?" And he's friends with the guy who's the head coach there, and he was going to be bringing it. He wanted to. They have a break at Sacramento State right now. They're kind of like on a trimester, so he's like, I'm just going to take him east, and I want him to get the experience of playing in places like Iowa City. I think they were going to go play Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're in
Notre Dame
South
today.
City. They must be
Today.
exhausted.
Yeah, so
Boy, 18 innings, getting a bus,
Yeah.
drive to South Bend and play. I think this afternoon is
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah. I talked to their bus driver last night. Poor guy.
There's the guy.
hope he got a
that's
nap.
tired.
He was out there outside the bus last night when we pulled in about 17th inning and just got to chat with him. And I eventually told him, I said, you can listen to the game on KXIC 800 AM. He said, oh, well, thanks.
Do you know, did they drive to South Bend last night after
Oh,
the
yeah.
game?
Yeah.
Yep, right away. Yep, slept on the bus and who knows what time they got in because, yeah, it didn't get over till about 9:30. But, you know, kids like my son, my 13-year-old son, Paul, are just enamored with this team. And we live so close to the stadium that he
Yeah.
just hops on the bike or runs over there whenever he gets a chance. And you're not going to have many more chances, like I said. Next weekend is the last home Big Ten series. They go on the road the weekend after that, which is
Rutgers.
graduation weekend. Yeah,
Rutgers.
how good is Rutgers?
I don't think they're great.
Yeah.
And then
They're better than average.
yeah,
Are they?
they're not the bottom of the league, but they're pretty good. And then
That's a long way
right
to
after
go.
that is the Big Ten tournament. Then up at Minneapolis, playing at the Twins Stadium. So,
Oh. Well, and that's,
games
is
they
that a,
have?
you get two losses in the Big Ten tournament, don't you?
yeah, it's a double elim.
Double M, yep.
It's
And
the top
everyone
eight
plays.
teams.
No.
Top
just
eight.
Top eight.
Does somebody in the Big Ten not have a baseball team?
Yes.
It's Wisconsin. Wisconsin does not have baseball.
They don't.
No, haven't for probably 20 years now.
Yeah.
They dropped about the same time Iowa State did.
Yep.
Iowa State doesn't have a.
No.
No.
I'll be darned.
And they had a pretty decent team, pretty
They had a
decent
very
coach,
good- Very
too.
good program.
Who was their coach? Former White Sox catcher, Jerry, was it Jerry something?
Can't remember.
I had his baseball card as a kid growing up. But anyway, hey, before we forget, we lost a couple people from our community this week. First, I want to mention Jim Mcgregor, who many of you know as the owner of Mcgregor's Furniture Store in Coralville. Jim was a friend of our program. We had him on the program, if you recall, a few years ago when he got involved with, was it the Ronald McDonald House or it was it? Yeah.
Hope
And-
Lodge.
Hope Lodge, that's it. Next door to the Ronald McDonald House. Jim ran that for a period from the time they opened until I don't know when. And Jim died in his sleep at age 53, Thursday night, Friday morning sometime. And I know it shocked a lot of people. And Jim was a man of many talents, and I don't think he ever met a stranger. Big supporter of the Hawkeyes. I just saw him at a women's basketball game earlier this season. Excellent golfer. I had a chance
He
to.
was a friend of the Blueters, too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Did he offer?
Oh, was he a golfer? Holy cow. I had a chance to golf with him once a few years back, and it was more of a golf lesson for me. He was really kind and patient with, with me, and gave me some nice, gentle tips. Didn't make me feel bad about, my game. And I think anyone that golfed in Iowa City knew Jim Mcgregor, because he practically lived on every course out there, especially Finkbine. I think that was his home course. Jim was a heck of a guy, and he's going to be missed by a lot of folks here. And
I worked with him for
yes,
7
you
years.
did. Yes, you did.
That's
For how long?
7 years.
That long.
Wow. You're up to it.
Yeah. You were the official greeter at McGregor's, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jim made, he made a place for you there, as well as a lot of former Hawkeye athletes,
Well,
including Sean Green.
Well, he made a place for me, but
You earned it.
I was not. I was not a fan of his until I worked with him, and
Once you get to know him,
yes,
it's a difference maker.
yeah, I thought that he was overdone at all the basketball games. He shook people's hands all over the
Yeah.
place, and
It's because he knew everybody.
oh yes.
He knew everyone.
But I got to work in there, and I thought he was a pretty good man, because he made a lot of mistakes. And,
But he cared about people.
well, yes, but he chewed a guy out for making a mistake on the floor. And I took him back in his room, and I said, "Hey, Jimmy, you're not supposed to do that." He said, "Well, I own the store." Well, I said, "Jim, no, that doesn't make any difference, But,
That's Bill Reichardt's old line.
Yeah,
But I own the store.
yeah,
No, it doesn't make any difference. You got to be able to relate to the people. And
yeah, and
I think overall he did
and
a
the
good
more
job.
I worked with him, the better he got. I mean, that's my own print.
Yeah.
And
7 years you spent there. I
I
didn't
didn't
realize.
realize it was that long.
yeah,
I remember seeing you out there.
yeah,
I think I'd come and pick you up once in a while and
yes,
bring you to Sports Opinion.
yes, right.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yesterday the community also lost somebody pretty special. He was known as Flash. Austin Schroeder was a freshman at West High and played basketball and baseball. He was also a very close friend of Patrick McCaffrey, who is the son of Fran McCaffrey, who had cancer. Both Patrick and Flash, or Austin, were diagnosed a year ago this month. And the good news is Patrick won his fight. The bad news is yesterday Austin lost his fight with brain cancer. But like I think one of his parents said, he didn't lose the fight. Cancer lost. Patrick won. He's free now. I know it hit a lot of kids in this community pretty hard. There were a lot of people that you may have seen shirts and signs all over town for the last year that just said "Win with Flash," and that was done to support Austin in his battle with cancer. I know his dad pretty well, he works at A.W. Welton Briscoe Insurance here in town, and
You
Craig.
always had a smile on right up to the end.
Oh, it's unbelievable. We had, this was last spring, we had Austin's father on our podcast just to stop by.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it was Joyce Rossi at the baseball office had gotten involved with that, and she said, "Hey, can you guys have them on for a few minutes just to talk about this fundraiser they were doing?" I think it was a walk around Kinnick or something to raise money. I was like, "Hey, no problem." And hearing the story, and then seeing Flash around. He was at various things, football thing. I think he threw out the first pitch at one of the baseball
He
games
did.
recently.
He did.
At basketball games, he was with the McCaffreys. He was very close with Chris Doyle's family too.
Oh, really?
So it's just I never saw the kid with a smile without a smile.
Well, I know.
mean, and that
Big smile.
and there would have been I don't know how you do that when you're fighting like that.
I don't either.
But he amazing spirit, inspiring. And sad. And
Yeah.
Dick Vitale even tweeted out a picture yesterday. Your buddy Dick Vitale, tweeted out a picture of him with Patrick and Austin.
Yeah.
just expressing his condolences. Said Fran had called him to tell him that Austin had passed away.
Yeah, it's really sad. A lot of Hawkeye athletes, both men and women, paid visits to him. Austin was a big Cardinals fan, and there are pictures on Facebook of different Cardinal baseball players like Matt Holliday and Adam Wainwright wearing the Flash, Win with Flash t-shirt. And he had a lot of support, and it was just amazing how he impacted so many people in this community, young and old. My son came home from school yesterday and asked if I'd heard about it, and then asked if I'd seen the circular cloud formation in the sky yesterday afternoon. A lot of people were putting pictures of that up on social media. It was just a big ring of cloud in the sky. It turns out it was some practice pilots
Airplanes going in a
doing something. But a lot of people said that was, it appeared right after Austin died, and they wanted to think that it was his halo.
Really treacherous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just awful. And what really gets me is recently 60 Minutes did a program on was it ever? They did. I think they did the entire show. I could be wrong. Maybe it just seemed that way. But on a potential cure for cancer using the polio.
Polio vaccine.
I saw that.
Polio vaccine.
Yeah, they actually inject polio, the virus, not the vaccine, but the virus, into the cancer cell, and it has had tremendous success in killing these cancer cells.
Wow.
And on the show, they featured people with brain cancer. That's how.
That woman was.
You saw the show?
Oh, sure.
Wasn't that something? Mm-hmm. It just gave you great hope, and you just wish that something like that could have helped Patrick, Austin. I'm sorry, but it didn't. And,
What's the delay on it?
I don't.
They're not
Still
getting
testing
out.
it. Still testing it.
They're still testing it.
But look for more news on that soon. But I think you're going to see a big turnout for Austin Flash Schroeder's visitation and funeral later this week. So our heartfelt prayers and thoughts go out to the family of both Austin Schroeder and to Jim Mcgregor. It's pretty tough to lose people like that from this small town. Back to the Hawkeyes. We talked a little bit about baseball. Oh, we should also mention that junior catcher Jimmy Francos was named the Big Ten Player of the Week. Yep. He upped his batting average He upped his batting average over 80 points last weekend during the Nebraska series. 89 points. He's batting, I think, .545 now for the year.
And caught all 18 innings last night.
Yes.
That's great.
He's going to be tired.
My son was talking about that.
Sore knees and thighs today. My gosh.
My son's a catcher. We were talking about that over breakfast. He said, "I don't know if I could handle that." I said, "Well, sometimes you just have to." I don't think the Hawkeyes had anybody left on the bench. They'd used everybody.
18, I wouldn't think so.
They had their pitchers come in and pinch hit.
Yeah.
Last night. Big win for them. Big weekend series coming up for them, and hopefully Ohio State can knock off Illinois a couple times and help the Hawkeyes out.
Is that at Ohio State?
Yes, it is.
I think they will.
Yes, it is. So last Saturday we had the annual Hawkeye football spring practice or scrimmage. Were any of you there?
I was in front of my computer watching on
Were you?
Tinto, yeah.
I was in attendance.
So
on the sidelines. I did not wimp out and go up in the press box like a lot of others did.
So the forecast was it was going to keep raining all afternoon.
Yeah.
The
Never did.
forecast turned out to
Never
be
rained.
Totally wrong.
It was chilly
Now,
and it
you're a
was
writer.
windy,
How many
but it
people were
wasn't
there?
terrible.
Yeah.
I've been to worse. A couple years ago, remember when it snowed or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah, I do remember.
How many people were there?
8,000, weren't there?
There were not 8,000 people.
That's what they said.
Somebody in sports information put that
That's
out.
right.
Yeah, it was.
Somebody-
That was
Four to 5,000.
yeah, I would
Somebody
guess
can't
probably around 4,000.
Yeah.
Counting players and staff and
And counting the baseball.
Counting everybody that was there
And the fans at
twice.
the baseball game.
Baseball, so they threw that in.
Counting everyone who was there twice, you would get to 8,000.
So, Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com, tell us what you saw.
I saw two practices this year, the one in Des Moines and the one here. You come away with, after last season, and you think, Okay. I think anybody who thought that just because C.J. Beathard is the quarterback that magically Iowa football was going to be great is going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because they just, offensively, we saw them score one touchdown, and that was when they had to stop the clock at the end of this scrimmage and bring in the third-team defense to face the first-team offense. That was the only time they scored a touchdown.
I didn't know they did that.
So I didn't come away overwhelmed by the offense. You wonder if the defense has just gotten that much better or the offense is really struggling. I think it's more the offense is struggling. I think the defense is better, but I don't think they look like the Steel Curtain or something out there. You know, it's just a Buddy Ryan defense in the old days. I mean, they were making a lot of plays. I think you've got concerns on the offensive line, which you knew you would have.
Right.
With Andrew Donnell and Brandon Scherf gone, you knew you were breaking in some young guys at tackle, and they're going against experienced guys, especially Gerard. And Gerard had his way with Boone Myers.
He looked good.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not as concerned about Boone Myers and Ike Bedker as a lot of other people are. I think they'll get there. I think we all know there's going to be bumps in that road.
And if we know one thing, we know that Kirk Ferentz can coach the offensive line
They'll
up.
get better. They'll get better. I'm worried from the aspect of pass blocking more than anything else. I think they'll be fine run blocking because of one simple reason.
We have one quarterback.
It's C.J. Beathard, and then you're going to go to Tyler Wagers, who has 0 snaps, and after that it's Ryan Boyle and Drew Cook.
Neither of whom they want to play next year.
No. So
Speaking of, I talked to Marv, and Cook starts the 1st of June.
yeah, he's going in June 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you saw Tyler Wiegers play.
He was a lot better. He was not very good in Des Moines. He looked scared. He looked tentative. He looked like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Second time around, this time I thought he looked pretty good. He looked more comfortable. He had a great throw later in the practice. You may remember that, Pat, the one he threw.
Yeah.
Joshua Jackson.
One that Joshua Jackson, who they've shifted from defensive back to wide receiver, who hit him right in the hand.
In
over the top of
stride,
his head,
right.
In stride. And
Perfect.
couldn't hold it.
And he dropped it. And he
Oh,
dropped it. It would have been a 75-yard touchdown. Easy.
He'd have made a name for himself if he'd have hung onto the ball.
Would have been the
and gone in.
spring hero.
He's got some speed, which is obviously why they.
What year is he?
He's a redshirt
He'll
freshman.
be a redshirt freshman. He redshirted last year.
Okay.
He's from Texas.
They're just really, and I can talk about that in a second, but they're really stacked up in the secondary with two deeps are really solid there. So his playing time is going to be available at wide receiver. And he played some receiver in high school, so it's not like it's a foreign thing to him. But the other thing with the wide receivers, playmakers. You need playmakers.
Yes.
And Iowa has, I think, one good playmaker, Tavon Smith.
Devon Smith.
Maybe a decent playmaker in Matt Vandenberg. They have a red zone big receiver in Jacob Hillier. And after that, it's a drop-off.
You know, I've always liked Matt Vandenberg's
Yeah.
speed, the ability to hang on to the ball. He's not very big, although I think he's bigger than when he played as.
You know what he
He's
told
a
me?
true freshman.
You know what he told me he played at as a true freshman? 160 pounds.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that doesn't surprise me.
160 pounds. He says he's up to 185 now.
We just don't have receivers of real size. So personally, I liked. We only saw him really with the ball twice, but I like Jay Scheel. He showed some quickness and ability to catch the ball.
He was one guy I was going to mention that from that first practice to this one, and Kirk talked a little bit about this. The new guys getting in there. Early on, they struggle. They're kind of trying to figure their way. And Jay's coming off the knee injury. He looked 100% better. Maybe he's that fourth guy, or it's going to be one of these true freshmen. Emmanuel Agwu who has legitimate national track speed, but not a great receiver yet. So, but he can fly. Jermaine Smith, the kid out of Texas, who's a really polished receiver, and then Adrian Falconeer. They got three guys coming in, and there's some potential there. And the other problem you have with the passing game is you couple that with Jake Doozy tearing his patella tendon. And that he was their down the field, middle of the field, tight end threat.
So that's what it is. It's the patella tendon.
Yeah, and he had it
Patellar
repaired
tendon.
Monday.
Yeah,
and-
they've said that they expect he'll be back by the time of the first game, but that's very, very.
no way.
I would think.
That's a year.
I think realistically, well, some think a year, but I'm going to guess maybe the start of the Big Ten season, October maybe.
The saving grace is we've got some depth there. George Kittle
George
can
Kittle look
go
good.
down the field and catch the ball.
He's got better wheels than Doozy.
Yeah.
He's not as good a blocker,
No, he's not as big.
and they can split him out. And you got the Wisniewski kid from Des Moines, who is big kid. Henry Kruger-Kobel. I think they've got.
He's got some talent.
Yeah, they've got 3 guys there, but I also look at it from the injury perspective. Kruger-Kobel had shoulder surgery in the offseason, so he was in a red jersey, did not participate full go. Kittle was banged up last year quite a bit, didn't play a whole lot, and Wisniewski's coming off a knee injury too. So
What about the Boyle kid from Des
Des Moines?
Moines? He was at Newton.
yeah, he's a good player. He's going to be really good, but it's going to be all new to him. I know he believes he's going to come in and play.
That's right.
But I would hope Drew Cook believes the same thing. I would hope Tyler Wiegers believes the same thing, because if you don't,
Boy,
you probably need to find something else to do.
I think the Cook will be really good.
Well, my concern, like Tom's, is the offensive line and pass protection, because we know C.J. Beathard is a scrambler. Mm-hmm. And we also know that he has yet to learn how to slide.
Or to not,
Or throw an interception without risking life and
and
limb.
then throwing a shoulder into Brandon Snyder.
I couldn't believe that. I saw
The
that
sideline.
highlight.
Oh my
Well,
God.
that's pure instinct.
Yeah.
Sets in.
That's just his
That's right.
competitive nature, and that's who he is. He is I mean,
He's going to have to change his nature,
He-
because he
if
won't
he'd-
survive.
If he'd have let Snyder go, he'd been criticized for that too.
Yeah, when,
I wouldn't have criticized him.
Yeah, lots of people would.
Just think if he would have
just
gotten
all he's
hurt
got
on
to do
that
is
play.
just use his 2 hands and push instead of diving into the guy.
Yeah.
And there's too many. He's the most important player. He's the one guy that Iowa cannot afford to have out. And he is I don't want to use the term reckless, because I don't think that's fair, but he's a risk taker in everything he does, from throwing passes down the field to running with the football to trying to make a play if he makes a mistake. I mean, he's just.
What do you think happened? Why is the guy?
Rudock?
Yeah, Rudock.
Well, I think it was pretty clear that both guys, whoever didn't get the job, was going to leave. If they would have said in early January Jake Rudock was the starting quarterback, C.J. Beathard would be somewhere else.
and then I think the dads had a big part.
Yeah,
They
there's.
played a lot of,
Well, but that's not that unusual that you'd consult with your family, or that your
sure.
family would weigh in.
but they were going to the coaches.
Or you go to school. Well, no, I know they did. Much more than has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in Rudock's case, more than has been.
Right.
I've had a lot of people. Go ahead, Pat.
But Kirk has gotten a lot of criticism for, quote, the way he handled Rudock. Well, he's faced with a dilemma. It's a classic quarterback controversy. He's got 2 decent ball players. Arguably, I'm a Beathard supporter. I thought Beathard should have been playing last year. He's got, I think, more skills than Rudock's got. But he's got a downside in that he didn't know the offense as well, and he wasn't making as good of decisions. But when you're faced with a quarterback controversy, 2 guys who can play, you can only play one at a time. One of them is going to be unhappy, and they're both veteran enough to know that they've got other opportunities. And they watched Cody Sokol, who was the 3rd-string quarterback behind the 2 of them, be one of the most prolific touchdown passers in the country at Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
And so one of them's going to leave.
Yeah.
And Kirk made a decision.
There was no
Early.
right.
He's been criticized for making it early, but that's what he needed to do.
Yeah.
rather than risk both of them bailing out on him or both of them being unhappy.
It was the right thing to do, but I never have gotten to understand the criticism that Kirk took for "quote unquote" mismanaging the whole
Right.
quarterback thing. I don't know that there's a right way to do it. I don't think there ever is a right way to do it. I think those people are just being critical for the sake of being critical, and
People like me who think he's playing the wrong guy criticize him, but
That's fair.
That
That's-
isn't how you quote. That isn't how you handled it. That's just the
yeah.
decision.
That was-
and there was a definite reason for choosing Rudock over Beathard, which had nothing to do with
But
Beathard's
what was the
arm strength.
reason that Beathard didn't get into the Minnesota game when it was already over at the end of the first? I mean, he got in late,
Well, what was
but
the-
not till the
That
fourth
was over
quarter.
at halftime.
It was over at the end of the
What was
first
the reason
quarter.
James Vandenberg played every snap?
Well, I think that's where he's
I'm not
open
a-
for criticism.
I'd even go to the Iowa State game when Rudock was struggling,
Yeah.
and you would play. I think Kirk did himself a
But-
disservice by he boxed himself in to a
Both of
situation.
them had a lot of drop passes.
What- when
We
you-
had
when you-
more drop passes than we've ever had.
When you've got a quarterback controversy, you often make it worse by playing two of them.
Yep.
As one of them is going to throw a touchdown pass, and all of a sudden you're boxed in. The guy that you want to start didn't throw that touchdown pass, and now everybody's riled up. And
You remember the touchdown or the non-touchdown that
Yes,
Beathard threw in the
yes,
Ball
I do.
State game?
Yes, I do.
And I think
I don't remember.
I think I threw it to, was it Powell? It was Powell,
yeah, it
wasn't
was
it?
Powell, who
Powell
the
down.
referees ruled stepped out of bounds.
I said it's
caught it at about the 5-yard line, and they
did.
said he was not in bounds.
I said
when he caught
it's
it.
the greatest incomplete pass in the history of Iowa football.
Yes. Well, and I remember the touchdown pass Beathard threw at the end of the Illinois game, also
Yeah.
to Powell.
Yeah.
That was an NFL
When
type
he
pass.
threw it on a line drive, I thought, well, he's throwing the ball away. There's no. And Powell went up and caught it. It was an unbelievably great
Beautiful.
pass and catch.
Yeah.
But in any event, the key to Beathard is going to be whether the offensive line or the fullback or the running back are going to give him time to let receivers get open. The offense looked exactly Saturday the way it looked for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Short little dinks and dunks.
Occasional ball down the
Partly
field.
because he didn't have time to do anything else.
Yeah, he was running for his life the whole day. Giroux was 95 was in the backfield as much as a running
Fortunately, they
back.
didn't play him very much.
No.
After it was clear he was going to dominate the line of scrimmage, they took
Even
him out.
Parker Hesse, his backup, was getting
Yeah.
back there a lot.
Yeah, he
and
was.
Is Davis the star of the defense?
He was. Carl Davis?
Is he all through?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, he's done.
He's
Oh,
got-
I
Jaleel
thought-
Johnson.
he'll be drafted
I-
tomorrow night.
I thought Jaleel Johnson looked really good. Budgeta is playing pretty well. Faith Kakety, another four-star kid
you
that
don't-
had in the
I didn't
past.
realize-
And Darian Cooper, who's really good, is still not playing.
Yeah, he's
What's
still-
wrong with him?
He's been
He's-
fighting knee problems.
Yeah, he had knee issues, pretty serious knee surgery. They've never given us any specifics. I'm going to guess it's probably microfracture.
They never do.
Yeah,
They-
I'm
they
guessing it was
don't- they don't
microfracture,
want
given
to-
the way that they've had him out for so long.
Well,
Speaking of injuries, what's happened to Ryan Ward? He didn't seem to be anywhere to be seen. Saturday.
He was in sweats on Saturday at that practice in Des Moines. He was really limping around, like a groin or a knee issue of some sort. He had no push. He just couldn't move, and he was running with the third team. So
So that's an example.
He's dinged up.
They never tell you anything.
yeah,
Now, they played toward the end of the scrimmage. They moved Betker from right tackle to left
to
guard.
left guard, which is interesting. Put Cole Croston in
Put Cole
there.
Croston in.
Yeah,
at
and I
right
think
tackle.
that might be an interesting option for
They
them.
seem to be sounder with Croston at right tackle instead of Simmons at left guard.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of this is going to depend on what happens with Sean Welsh, who started last year.
What's the deal? What's going on with him?
When we asked Kirk, it said it was a family situation.
Is he registered? Is he in school?
He's in school, but he is not participating in football right now, and he's on kind of a family leave. Kirk says he expects him back. I've heard that's 50-50, so I don't know
what
if he'll be
could
back.
the family issue
I think
be?
his dad has health issues.
Oh.
I think that's what it is. So I think he's distracted or whatever about that. But
But he's in school.
yeah, that's what I was told.
Where's he from?
He's from Ohio.
Ohio, he started as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah. So
Started at left guard.
I don't know.
He and Walsh switched. Sometimes he played left, and then he moved over to right.
I'm still not they say Brian Ferentz and Kirk Ferentz both say they expect him back. So they've had conversations with him. I just know nobody close to the program, kind of on the guys on the team. They are not sure what's really going on and if he'll be back.
Yeah, well, it's ominous that they don't give us any explanation and that he's not here. The
I understand
is
I understand the privacy aspect,
Sure.
but there's a way you can let us know what's going on without telling us exactly what's
depending on
going
what the family said.
Yeah.
If it's really an illness of a parent,
Yeah, just say, look, his
why don't you
dad's.
say that?
Yeah, just say his dad's having some health concerns, and we'll leave it at that. And I'm like, okay,
Earlier,
good.
you mentioned Drew Ott. He made a comment a couple weeks ago about.
That's Drew Ott. That was a
Yeah.
classic Drew Ott comment.
I thought it was a pretty good comment, and what he said was, when asked about Jake Rudock, Drew Ott replied and said, "I thought he had more fight in him," and I guess for me, that really summed it up. That's kind of how I feel. I guess maybe I'm old school, and I'm not happy with this rule that students who have graduated can just leave if they have another year of eligibility.
Yeah,
I don't like it. It's got to change. I also don't like the fact that a teammate leaves the rest of his team really in a precarious situation. You've got one experienced quarterback who is one snap away from being done for the year, given his style of play. And I'd like to think that Jake Rudock would have stuck it out and not gone through all this stuff. I mean, yeah, you're not starting after 2 years of being the starter, but you're going to get in there. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what makes you say that. The pattern in Iowa is you don't get in.
Not the coaching pattern.
injury. Yeah.
Not the coaching pattern, but C.J. Beathard's playing pattern.
To me, I look at it from this perspective with respect to Jake. Jake got crapped on by the Iowa fans for no good reason. He won 8 games the previous year and had a big part in that that team's success.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
And he got and
It was very
people
close
just
to winning 8 last year.
Yeah.
We should have won.
Should have won 8.
should have won.
Wasn't his fault that they let a receiver get open.
Or couldn't cover a punt.
Right.
In the Nebraska game. Or the defense couldn't got burned up by Melvin Gordon on a 3rd and 13 play in the 4th quarter.
Yes.
I mean,
That was-
there were not there weren't a lot of reasons to blame Jake, but
that
quarterback
goes
always
with the
takes-
territory.
It goes with the territory.
And he's going to Michigan. He's going there to start.
Yeah,
Michigan
he's gonna
has
start.
no really good, experienced quarterbacks on their roster. And if he thinks the criticism's strong here, wait till he gets
I
there.
can't believe they don't have
Well,
it.
I'm sure he.
They don't. They don't.
We'll see.
I mean, he wouldn't go there if he wasn't
No.
in planning to start.
Well, you have to remember, it's one of the best medical schools in the United
Yeah.
States.
Almost as good as
And
Iowa's.
that's his, not quite. That's one of his decisions going there.
Yeah, well, I don't think, I would be, if I was a Hawkeye football player, especially on the offensive side, I'd be very let down by Jake Rudock leaving the way he did. I just think it's very disappointing. And, you're right, Tom. He took undue criticism throughout his time here, but every quarterback does. And CJ's going to get the same treatment this
No, he
year.
won't.
You don't think so?
No, it will go to Greg Davis or the receivers
Yeah. We'll see how CJ
or the
plays.
offensive line. He's the chosen guy by the vocal minority, and they are going to. He's going to have to really sink. But of course, Rudock was the chosen guy when Vandenberg was here.
Yes.
Right.
So it's whoever, Tyler Wiegers has a bandwagon that's sitting on Clinton. So you can go hop on it right now.
I have 2 offensive questions
Sure.
for you. It looks to me, well, they've actually Greg Davis talked about change in the pattern of usage of receivers by teaching them all three starters,
Yeah,
three
the
different
different
receiver
positions.
positions.
Yeah.
Now that's an offensive difference. It looked to me
It didn't
like
change.
they've also changed a little bit the running scheme.
Yeah, it's more straight
I
ahead.
didn't
It's
see
not. It's
any
less.
of the
It's less
power sweep.
It's less inside zone, outside zone.
Have
a
they
little
talked
more
about
just,
that at all?
Yeah. Brian said they were tweaking some things. So
Is that the one thing the running
the run,
coordinator is?
run game
team?
coordinator. Yes, that's one thing they're going to try and
So
do.
less zone read offense.
Yeah, the stretch play,
Yeah.
as it's known. There maybe a little less of that, and maybe some what you would almost call a quick hitter, where they're just going right up.
You know, I've listened to Kirk, Brian, and Greg Davis all respond to the question, so what does the running game coordinator do? And I have no idea. And my conclusion is they don't either, that it's just a title.
Good
Yeah.
observation.
I think this is just the next step in Brian Ferentz being the offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
and this is Brian's going to have this just kind of puts a title to it.
It's presumably a pay raise. You pay-
I would think,
pay
but I haven't
coordinators more than
seen.
you
Yeah,
do.
I have not seen anything to suggest that it is, but they've not released anything that says his salary increased. I think Gary Barta would have to make that decision because he is the overseer of Brian due to the.
Yeah.
Brian seemed really surly at his news
Brian can be
conference.
he can be that way sometimes. Just kind of chippy with the media, but
Yeah.
that's I never take offense to it because I just
Well, if you're the coach of the offensive line, which
There's
is
give and
generally
take.
considered to be the weakest link on the team, you might be a little surly too.
yeah.
Maybe that'll carry over to some of his players.
What's the guy's name? I think he was the offensive line coach.
Reese Davis, or Reese Morgan.
Yeah. Why did he move out of there?
I went to defensive line. They were just moving things around. It was a way to get Brian back and coach a position he'd be comfortable with. And you can pretty much plug and play Reese Morgan. That's what the beauty of Reese Morgan. You could plug him
Oh,
and
my gosh.
put him in anywhere, and he's going to be good.
Yeah.
He just is.
And the kids like him, don't they?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And he
Oh,
was a massive improvement from Crazy Rick Kaczynski
Who just lost his job at
Well,
Nebraska
and got arrested
and got arrested.
for domestic abuse. And,
Yeah.
you
We're very fortunate to have lost him.
yeah, he.
Players did not like him.
No,
Oh, I
he,
got it, yes.
he was
Yes.
universally disliked by his
Yes.
Oh,
by his
he was
kids on his-
abusive and just
Profane.
swore.
Yeah, he's
belittled guys to a point where guys quit,
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Just wasn't a good thing. I mean, he does have a nice little NFL resume of players in the NFL that played D-line for him, but boy, is that the right way? I don't know.
One of the other things they've talked about having changed is the way they prepare linebackers.
Yeah.
The old system involved one linebacker playing one position, and this year they've talked, and we saw some of that Saturday, that the linebackers are being trained to play at least two, if not all three positions.
Yeah, they've all moved around.
What's the advantage of that?
I think you can plug and play then. If somebody goes
Somebody
down,
gets hurt,
yeah, you can.
Easier to
You're
keep your
comfortable.
top.
It's sort of like the offensive line where they train like the center,
Yeah, they really
center
do.
guard, tackle. They'll move guys around
Yeah.
to be able to plug and play.
Right.
So it's the best. It's kind of that the offensive line. They always say the best five play. This is the best three play. But it's a pretty tight race. Cole Fisher and Travis Perry both had really good springs,
Yeah.
and
We need that.
and Aaron Menz is another kid on the rise, linebacker, young guy.
Where's he from?
He's from Kansas City.
Boy, we need that.
Yeah,
we need that badly.
He's got a chance to be a really good player. Another kid to watch, strong safety, Brandon Snyder, walk-on from Northwest Iowa, and he wears 37, and it brings back memories of Sean Considine.
Yeah.
Another former
walk-on
This
who had a
kid
pro
just-
career.
This kid he has a nose for the ball.
Yeah.
Just an incredible nose
How
for the
about
ball.
the tight end coach?
LeVar Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the nicest guy.
Oh, tremendous guy.
Oh,
And again, I think a player's coach, kids like him.
you couldn't
One
have.
of the things that we didn't see Saturday, and of course they, by and large, a lot of it is plain vanilla, but they've used with some success what they've called a Raider
Raider
package.
package.
on
Yeah, they
defense.
didn't. They
And
subbed
so
some nickel.
They've got maybe 4 or 5 linebackers and 4 or 5, maybe even 6 defensive backs.
Yeah.
I wonder if we won't see some of those people in a Raider package on third down.
I'm curious to see what they do with that, because they really do have great depth at corner and at safety this year with, the starters of Lomax and Miles Taylor right now, but he's in a good fight with Snyder. And Miles Taylor was really good on Saturday, too. He was flying around, hitting people. Lomax calls him a Tasmanian devil back there. He just kind of flies around.
I like that.
And then you've got Desmond King and Greg Mabin starting.
Desmond King is special.
But you've got behind them Reese Fleming and Sean Draper and Malik Rucker. So they've got depth back there. Anthony Garrett, safety. And Kirk talked about ranking those safeties 1 to 4, and then the third guy has played both free and strong, so he could go in at either position. Again, it's that position versatility that they want. But the linebackers, the way they're developing what they've got there, they could do some more of that Raider package and they'd usually do it with either 2 or 3 defensive linemen, and it'd probably be Giroux and Budget or somebody like that in there, and then bring in a couple extra defensive backs or linebackers.
So we should be pretty optimistic about the defense overall.
They looked better, but is that they're really good against? Are they just good against that scheme?
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to perform against a spread team with a mobile quarterback and kind of more athletic wide receivers? Is it going to be different? I don't know.
One of the things, not being there and watching on the Big Ten to go, I couldn't tell if any of the 4 incoming freshmen who are already enrolled played Saturday.
James Daniels was not in uniform. He's dinged up. Brett Wachter, he is still got a red jersey on. He had shoulder surgery in the off season, so he's in uniform and he's doing some drill work. But
How did he get injured?
He had
Was it high school?
High school. He had a chronic kind of shoulder thing that got repaired. And Brady Reef was not. He was like third team. So
Defensive end.
Yeah. So they're back. He's back of the pack. It's going to take him a little time. But one of the young guys that was really good is Matt Nelson, defensive end out of Xavier. He's big. And he's pretty quick.
What's he weigh now?
275, 275.
Defensive end.
He came in at
40 pounds in a year.
He came in at 230.
He's a freshman?
Redshirt freshman.
Freshman from Xavier.
6'8", probably. He looks like you remember Ted Hendricks, the Mad Stork? It's like that, a 6'8" guy.
Wow.
So
Didn't Ted Hendricks, wasn't he missing a few front teeth?
Yeah, he'll be, but Nelson will be their third defensive end. So he'll rotate between, when Ott needs a break, he'll go in for him. Meyer needs a break, he'll go in for him.
By the way, we're speaking with Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com. Tom is a longtime friend of Sports Opinion and goes out of his way to come here from Bluegrass, Iowa, over in the Quad Cities to enlighten us with his knowledge of everything Hawkeye.
And we haven't talked about running
14?
backs.
No, I wanted to hear what you have to say about running backs.
That's really a position of strength, I think. LaShawn Daniels, everybody knows he's dropped 10, 15 pounds. So
Is that a good thing?
yeah, he looks quicker. He and Kanzeri did not get much work on Saturday. They just, and given their history of injury,
Yep.
you don't want to risk it. So
No, but it was a fan disappointment.
I know.
Because they've all talked about how
I know.
much LaShawn looks better, leaner, quicker, and we barely saw him.
barely saw him. But maybe the story of spring football has been Derek Mitchell Jr.,
He looked good.
former wide receiver, and they practiced him, scout team, with running backs, and he played the role of Melvin Gordon and Amir Abdullah and guys like that, and the defensive coaches thought, wow, this guy's got a little wiggle to him, let's see what it's got. So they moved him over because it was kind of back of the pack at wide receiver, and he's looked terrific. And
He's got some size.
he's
6'1",
210.
215, 220.
Yeah, 215, 220. And
That's exciting.
Remember the role that Damon Bullock ended up playing on
Yeah.
third down? Sometimes carrying, but doing a lot of receptions over the
Might
middle
be.
and down the sideline.
might be him.
I remember that Ohio State game.
Then the
That was Damon hit the wrong hole, didn't he?
Yeah.
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 Akram Wadley looked pretty good, I thought.
Held onto the ball.
As long as he
If he
did,
holds onto the ball, he is good.
yeah,
Yep.
he just got to hold on to the ball. And Marcel Jolly, another defensive back, redshirt freshman, has switched over to running
From,
back.
where's he from?
He's from Maryland, and
He just knows everything.
he he's over at running back now too, and he didn't look too bad either. So they've got some depth.
Jonathan Parker is not a running back.
He's at wide receiver now.
But he can still, at wide receiver, he can still run the jet sweep, which is
Yeah.
about all he did.
Hey,
but-
speaking of Desmond King, you talked about him a minute ago. He was a first team punt return guy, so they may have him returning kicks this year.
That surprises me from this aspect. He doesn't have speed. That's the one thing that's missing in his arsenal. But he's got great hands, and Kirk always opts for
And
ball
he's-
security on the punt. We fair catch more than any team.
Boy, do we
You know,
ever.
I asked, we got to talk to all the assistant coaches this year at different weeks, and
Yep.
so Chris White was in, and he's obviously running backs coach and special teams, and I just point blank asked him, I said, are you guys just too passive on punt returns? And he said, yeah, part of it was because they were in punt safe so much because they kept getting burned for on fakes.
Fourth and long, man.
So that was just what the call was. But he said we have to get more aggressive. We have to try to get something out of that.
You don't need to, even in punt safe, you got a 10-yard margin, you don't need to call for a fair catch. And
Yeah.
we do.
Oh, it just infuriated
Everyone.
me.
Crazy.
Drove me
And I can
nuts.
understand with somebody in your face or running
Yeah,
at you.
of course.
But when they're 10 yards upfield, get what you can
Make
get.
something happen.
It's that inherent fear factor, the parents' fear factor that
It is.
that kid's going to fumble and it's going to be a turnover and we're going to have to put our
Yeah.
defense back out
No,
there.
that's,
Well, speaking of kicking, did you see any punting or kicking in the game or in the practice?
A little bit. Right now, it looks like, according to what Kirk said, Dylan Kidd has got the punting job. But
weren't you
that's
surprised that he said that?
I was shocked. I thought he
Yeah.
would say it's just completely wide open. We haven't drawn a
That's so
conclusion.
un-Ferentz-like.
Yeah.
He'd normally say, we've got a great competition and we'll decide a couple
Yeah.
weeks into fall camp, but
He did say they're going to keep it open till
Yeah.
camp, but I was surprised he named somebody.
Where's Dylan Kidd from?
He is
Florida.
Yeah, he's from Florida. He went out to a
Via
California
California.
JUCO. His dad was a punter in the NFL. It's amazing that Iowa.
What was his dad's name?
John Kidd.
Oh,
He was a punter. It's amazing to me. They're going to have potentially three. They'll have three scholarship kickers, punters,
what's a waste?
and none of them could potentially. Marshall Kane.
And Marshall,
Right.
Marshall Kane,
Solon.
who's maybe our most valuable offensive player after Beathard,
Yeah.
who looked good kicking field
Yeah,
goals,
he did.
is not on scholarship
No.
yet. He's got 1 year of eligibility, and they've never given him a scholarship.
And the scholarship place kicker McEllis did not look good in his attempt.
and Marshall King does both.
Yeah, and Marshall King
Well,
could do
well.
both and kick off.
Yeah.
He was the best kickoff man in the Big Ten last year.
Yeah.
No two ways
something.
about it.
I got a question to ask you.
Sure.
Do you think Cook will make it a quarterback?
Yeah.
I do.
You know, I've seen Drew a couple times in the last month, and I swear he's not 6'5" anymore.
Oh,
He's like
tall.
6'7".
He's tall.
He's got to be 6'7".
He towers over these kids
Yes.
in his.
Now, you
grade.
guys see him too. You guys
Yeah.
see him more often than I do.
And he can throw the ball long.
Yeah.
And he's quick.
Yes.
He's got a quick first step, and he can.
I don't know if I don't know if he doesn't want to be known to be 6'7", because maybe they'll try and move him or
Well,
something.
I mean, that's a good point. I think
Yeah, I don't think he
that's
was any more
approaching,
than
quote, too
6'.
tall for a quarterback.
6'6".
There are not many
basketball,
6'7"
but
quarterbacks.
Definitely
Well,
6'6".
Well, he's
He's had a
listed
few.
at 6'5".
Yeah,
I know he's taller than that.
Well, see, I think he probably when he started football in the beginning of the season, he's growing.
Yeah, he has grown.
Marv,
I told him
he's
that.
still growing.
I told Drew that when I saw him. I said, dude, you're an inch or two taller than the last time I saw you.
Just last morning.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this question. Now, we haven't had a spring football game in probably how long? 10 years?
It's been a while.
Yeah, maybe longer than 10 years. I, as a fan, really don't enjoy going over there to see the scrimmage.
They should do what a lot of other teams do, which is basically have the assistants take over as head coaches for 2 teams. Heck, I would even include, like, have some media people in it and have a draft. Where
Like Michigan State.
Like Michigan State did. There's other schools that do that too, and they play it up, and fans get excited. They
Right.
follow it on social media.
Right.
You tweet out, my first pick is C.J. Beathard. Okay, my first pick's. You can positionally lock the draft pick, so you can't load up, one guy load up and the other guy not.
I think this would have been a great year to resume the game because the fan interest is not an all-time low, but it's a long-time low. And I think they've got to do everything possible to win the fans back. And you're not going to do it playing this scrimmage stuff that it's not even close to the same thing.
No. Guys are going to get hurt regardless.
Big Ten Network
look at
ignores
Doozy got
us.
hurt in practice. I mean, if your fear is, oh my gosh, guys would get hurt in the spring game when they're really hitting.
Mm-hmm. Why are you playing football?
It's a violent game.
Earl?
I always ask Kirk, hey, Kirk, can I call the first play? And he always says no.
No. But thanks for asking. Joe, how we doing on time? 5 minutes left. Well, I'd like to see a spring game.
Well, when you
part of
look
the-
at that Nebraska
They had
stadium,
80,000. Ohio State had 100,000 people.
Right.
well,
Penn
I can
State.
see where they did because they're national champs.
Yeah.
But Nebraska, they were
New
they did
coach.
most of the games of the season.
The excuse for Nebraska is those folks don't have anything better to do with their lives.
I don't know that we do either.
Yeah, we do.
I'd really like to see a spring game. It's been too long, and it was really exciting. It was a lot of fun. You tailgated. You went to the baseball game afterwards. Now it's just like,
Give you the same rules.
yeah. I mean,
Nobody understands the scoring system that
No.
they use.
it's just
crazy.
it's weird.
No.
So we've covered
was
Hawkeye
29
baseball
to
and
28.
football. It's baseball season, and I want to say this for the benefit of Mr. Bud Supple, the big Cub fan on board, along with Tom Kakert. I am a believer in the Cubs. I continue to be incredibly impressed with the young talent they have at every position.
Bud, mark this in time.
They're real.
Nice things about the Cubs.
Well, I mean,
I'm like him. I'm shocked. I didn't realize they had so many.
I think we're in for a good
Most
summer
Cub
in
fans
Chicago.
didn't know who.
oh, I think you're in for a good
fun.
They
decade.
have a good shortstop.
I'll tell you what,
Yes.
a good manager can make a heck of a lot of difference in the mentality of
That's
players,
a
and
good
that
point.
is Joe. There isn't, I don't know that there's many better than Joe Madden.
Joe Madden's something. I wished he would have come to the Cardinals because he grew up a Cardinals fan, and he's going to do wonders in Chicago. And the talent they have there is just eye popping.
Another thing that I didn't realize, the relief pitchers are good.
For now,
Yeah.
They need to work on teaching John Lester how to pick up somebody off at first base.
Without
just throwing
his glove.
accurately to first
Throw
would
his
help.
glove over there.
He's got that played down pretty well.
Got the glove with the ball.
We lost to get
Well, the Cardinals are in big trouble. They lost Adam Wainwright the other day.
They won the series in 06 and 11 when they lost their top
right.
starter, Carpenter
Yeah.
and Wainwright.
That's
So.
right.
Now, do you realize by the time this program airs tonight, the White Sox will have made baseball history?
Yes.
Yeah.
A
Today,
game with no fans.
the Sox and the Orioles are playing a game where no fans are allowed, and it's supposedly the first time ever a Major League Baseball game has been played in how many
Prohibited
years?
fans.
140 some years baseball has been played, and
Do
this
they
is the
know
first
something that
time.
we don't know?
Well, yeah, the riots are right outside the stadium. They had to keep fans in the stadium after the game on Sunday.
Because there was fights right outside the street right outside of there.
They were picking
Is
off
that
the fans
right?
as they came out. The rioters were just, they'd see a white guy and bam.
Yeah,
you know.
because I was out there
Oh,
last
my
year
gosh.
to Camden Yards and went to that bar that was right across the street. Is a bar I went to over there.
Oh, really?
For a game. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
Things are pretty bad right now.
It's the sort of thing that if you're an owner of the Baltimore Orioles,
you don't want that
you're
liability.
going to answer the phone when somebody says, "Would you like to move?"
And now they're going to move this weekend series with Tampa to Florida. The Orioles are going to be the home team in Tampa this weekend. Guys, we're out of time. We've had a lot of fun with Tom Kakert from HawkeyeReport.com.
Thanks for
As
having me.
always, we
Thanks
want to
for
have you
having me.
back again. On behalf of Pat White and Bud Supple. Oh, and I want to say hello to Carol Supple. Carol, I sympathize. I went through the same issues as you did a year ago in June, and it isn't fun. And if Bud's doing the cooking at your house, you better watch out. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Well, it is.
On behalf of Pat White, Bud Supple, Earl Murphy, I'm Dirk Keller, thanking you and Tom Kakert for being here with us. Every Wednesday night, our show runs at 7 p.m. on Channel 18. Every Sunday, it's replayed at 6 p.m. You can go to patv.tv and catch all of our shows, or you can go to my Facebook page where I have got them logged as well. On behalf of all these guys here, thanks for watching, and remember this, either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks, whipped Michigan good this weekend. Thanks for watching.
We need that one.